Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, something men and women often experience in relationships but rarely discuss honestly. You can give someone attention, you can buy them gifts, you can sacrifice your time, you can solve their problems, you can constantly tell them how beautiful they are, you can be available every minute of the day. And yet, none of those things automatically create loyalty. That's the uncomfortable truth. Because loyalty isn't a receipt. You can't look at everything you've done for someone and say, I've given you this much, so you owe me loyalty. Relationships don't work like a transaction. And this is where today's topic becomes interesting. Because if you're constantly asking yourself, why does she seem to appreciate everything I do but still pull away? Or, why do some women stay deeply committed to one man while others lose interest despite being treated extremely well? You may be focusing on the wrong thing. Today, we're going to explore the psychology behind loyalty, emotional connection, attraction, security, respect, and one of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to earn someone's devotion. And before we go any further, let me make something clear. This isn't about saying that all women are the same. They're not. Women aren't a single psychological category, and men aren't either. Every person has different experiences, values, attachment patterns, boundaries, and expectations. So when we talk about female psychology today, we're talking about common relationship patterns, not universal laws. And one of those patterns is incredibly important. People rarely become loyal simply because of what you do for them. They become loyal when they genuinely value the relationship they're in. And that's a completely different thing. Let's start with one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships, the transaction trap. You do something nice, then you expect something in return. You give attention, you expect affection, you provide financially, you expect appreciation, you sacrifice, you expect loyalty, you constantly make yourself available, you expect the other person to never leave. And when that doesn't happen, resentment begins. After everything I've done for her. You've probably heard that sentence before. Maybe you've even thought it yourself. But here's the problem. Being good to someone doesn't create a debt they have to repay with love. And this applies to both men and women. Imagine someone gives you an expensive gift. You appreciate it. But does that mean you're now emotionally obligated to love them? No. Imagine someone helps you move into a new apartment. You're grateful. But does gratitude automatically create romantic attraction? No. Imagine someone pays for every dinner. You may appreciate their generosity, but generosity alone doesn't determine whether you feel deeply connected to them. That's because gratitude and loyalty are different emotions. Appreciation is not attachment. Kindness is not compatibility. Generosity is not attraction, and sacrifice is not automatically love. This distinction is incredibly important because some people spend years trying to earn love through behavior, and the more they give, the more confused they become when the relationship still feels unstable. So if it's not simply what you do for someone, what is it? One of the strongest foundations of loyalty is the emotional value of the relationship itself. Think about it. Why do people remain loyal to certain friends for decades? It's not because those friends constantly buy them things. It's because of history. Trust, understanding, shared experiences, respect, emotional safety, compatibility, and the feeling that this person understands me. Romantic relationships work similarly. A woman may appreciate what a man provides, but long-term, loyalty usually becomes much stronger when she feels that the relationship itself is meaningful. And that involves something deeper than performance. It involves connection. Connection means she can be herself around you. Connection means conversations don't feel like negotiations. Connection means she feels respected. Connection means disagreements don't automatically become threats to the relationship. Connection means both people feel that they're building something together. And here's where things become controversial. A lot of people think loyalty can be secured by becoming indispensable. If I solve all her problems, she won't leave. But that's not love. That's dependency, and dependency can create an attachment, but it doesn't necessarily create healthy loyalty. There's a huge difference between she stays because she genuinely chooses me and she stays because she doesn't know how to function without me. The first is connection, the second can become control, and healthy relationships need choice. Now let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to become more attractive or secure a relationship. Overgiving. You text first every time. You plan everything. You constantly check on them. You cancel your own plans. You say yes to everything. You avoid disagreements because you're terrified of losing them. You tolerate disrespect because you're afraid that setting boundaries will push them away. And eventually, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You think you're being loving, but sometimes you're actually communicating. Your approval is more important than my own self-respect, and that creates a problem. Healthy love requires generosity, but healthy love also requires boundaries. You should be able to say, I care about you, but I don't agree with that. You should be able to say, I love spending time with you, but I also have my own life. You should be able to say, I want this relationship, but I won't accept disrespect. That isn't coldness, that's self-respect, and self-respect matters because attraction doesn't thrive in an environment where one person completely abandons themselves. Here's another uncomfortable idea. More attention doesn't always create more attraction. Sometimes it creates pressure. Imagine someone texting you constantly. Where are you? What are you doing? Why didn't you reply? Do you still love me? Are you talking to someone else? At first, it may look like passion, but over time, it can become exhausting because attention and emotional security are not the same thing. Someone can receive hundreds of messages a day and still feel emotionally disconnected. What people often want isn't simply more attention. They want meaningful attention. There's a difference between I'm checking on you because I need reassurance and I'm interested in your world because I genuinely care about you. The first can become anxiety, the second becomes connection. Let's talk about respect. This is one of the most underestimated elements of attraction and loyalty. Respect doesn't mean fear. It doesn't mean dominance. It doesn't mean controlling your partner. It means I recognize your value and I expect you to recognize mine. A woman who respects her partner doesn't need to agree with him about everything. A man who respects his partner doesn't need to control every decision. In fact, healthy couples disagree all the time. The difference is how they handle disagreement. Can you argue without humiliating each other? Can you express anger without threatening abandonment? Can you say no without punishment? Can you admit you're wrong? Can you apologize? Can you listen? These behaviors create something powerful. Psychological safety. And psychological safety doesn't mean that the relationship has no conflict. It means conflict doesn't make you question whether you are emotionally safe with the person. Now here's another distinction people need to understand. Attraction and loyalty aren't identical. Someone can be attracted to you without being loyal. Someone can be loyal to you while experiencing periods where attraction changes. Long-term relationships are complicated. Attraction can rise and fall. Stress changes people. Life changes people. Aging changes people. Responsibilities change people. And if you believe a relationship should feel exactly the same every day for 20 years, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. The goal isn't permanent excitement. The goal is maintaining a relationship where attraction, friendship, respect, intimacy, and partnership can continue evolving. That's why emotional connection matters so much, because when life becomes difficult, superficial attraction isn't always enough to hold two people together. Shared values can, trust can, commitment can, friendship can, respect can, and a genuine desire to continue choosing each other can. Let's talk specifically about men for a moment. One common mistake is believing, if I become the perfect provider, she will never leave. Providing can absolutely be valuable. Responsibility can be attractive, reliability matters, but providing is only one part of a relationship. You can provide financially and still be emotionally unavailable. You can be hardworking and still be disrespectful. You can be successful and still make your partner feel invisible. You can buy beautiful things and still avoid difficult conversations. So don't confuse provision with partnership. A partner doesn't necessarily need you to solve every problem. Sometimes they need you to listen. Sometimes they need encouragement. Sometimes they need honesty. Sometimes they need you to challenge them respectfully. And sometimes they simply need to know that you're emotionally present. The same applies in reverse. Women shouldn't assume that cooking, cleaning, affection, or emotional support automatically guarantees male loyalty. No healthy relationship should operate on a scorecard. Here's perhaps the most controversial point of the entire video. You cannot force loyalty. You can create conditions where loyalty is more likely. You can communicate. You can set boundaries. You can choose a compatible partner. You can build trust. You can maintain attraction. You can treat someone well.